Good morning. Yep, I'm in my car again. One of these days I'm going to crank it up and move it at least to the back of the yard. This week we're going to be working with geometry in math, and I wanted to start some terms that we'll be using in geometry. So let's look at the cards as I go over part of it with you. This lesson is going to be maybe Monday. It's Introduction to Geometry. It'll be on page 267. So let's look at some of the terms we'll be working with. This is a point. Yes, if it was a math problem, we would call it what? A decimal. And if it was in a sentence, we would call it a period. But when we're talking about geometrical terms, this is a point. This is a line segment. If you were to say this was a line, it would be incorrect because a line goes on and on and on. It has no end point. Do you see the points on each end of this line? The points make this line stop, so it's part of a line. Segment means part. This is a line segment. This is a line. Do you see my arrows on both ends? That means that line goes on and on. We don't know where the stopping point is. It's continuous. The arrow shows that it keeps going on and on. We call this a ray. A ray does have an end point on one end, and it goes on and on the other end, indicated by the arrow. See my point? Means it doesn't go this way any farther, but this arrow means it keeps going on and on. We use rays to make angles. This is an angle, guys. Do you see my two rays where they meet at one point? This is an angle. There are several different kinds of angles. We don't really measure angles in 4th grade, but I believe in 6th grade you actually start measuring the angle. This is an angle. This is congruent angles. Do you have to just have 2 angles to be congruent? No. You can have 3, 4, 5. Congruent means it's the same. These angles are congruent angles because if I laid one on top of the other, they should be the same. They might not be since I drew them, but that's what congruent angles are. This is also an angle. We call this a right angle. A right angle is 90 degrees, and you can tell if it's a right angle because you can put a box in the corner. Think of some shapes that have right angles. A square, a rectangle. Good job. Does a circle have a right angle? No, a circle does not have a right angle. This is an acute angle. The black part is an acute angle. That means the angle is less than 90 degrees. If I was measuring it, that angle would be less than 90 degrees. How do I know that angle would be less than 90 degrees? Can I put a square in the corner of this black angle? No. And if you look, I made a line to show what 90 degrees was. So we know this is less than 90 degrees. That's an acute angle. Can you say that? Acute angle. My cards are sticking together. This is an obtuse angle. Everybody say it. Obtuse angle. An obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees. Do you see my 90-degree mark in the middle? Got my little square in the corner? This ray goes past that 90-degree angle. It's larger than 90 degrees. This is an obtuse angle. What did I say it was if it has arrows on both ends? It's a line. We have two lines. They don't touch. They're both lines that keep going on and on. What kind of lines are these? We call these parallel lines. When we put our desk in rows, we have parallel rows. That means they're in a line, side by side, but they do not touch at any point. Parallel lines. This is perpendicular lines. Can you say that? Perpendicular lines? When I was growing up, instead of going to the intersection, we went to the crossroads. Can you see why it might be called the crossroads? Because at intersections, what happens? At crossroads, what happens? One road goes over the other, doesn't it? This is intersecting lines. That's probably why they started calling it intersections. Last one. This is a perpendicular line. Do you see that? Notice that I have a straight line and then I have a line coming straight up. It doesn't intersect because it doesn't go across my first line. It goes to my first line and stops. Perpendicular lines have two right angles. Do you see that? My perpendicular lines, here's a right angle and here's a right angle. They do touch, but they don't intersect because intersect means they would cross over each other. I don't think you'll have a hard time with that lesson. I hope not. Learn those geometry terms because we'll be using them in another lesson.